Hey, out to my cons, man. Hey, today I want to talk psychology of chronology. Say it with me, man. Psychology of chronologies, man. Yeah, man, yeah, Drop got a whiteboard. Drop got a whiteboard. It's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? When Drop can write things down. See, I wrote down some three important dates. Leave a comment if you already know what these dates mean. Go ahead, man. I'll wait. You've been looking at the Anatoly Fomenko for a minute. First of all, man, just shout out to the tribe. Y'all know I've been getting my thing together up here in Utah, moving my family up here, and it's been going, man, just extremely well. You know, hasn't been without bumps in the road and different things. But through it all, man, you have been keeping us, in the game, in the flow. You know what I'm saying? Constant cash apps, constant PayPals, whatever y'all doing, man. Like, you don't know how good it is just to take the family out, man, and just know that, man, that came from Drop Nation. You know what I mean? Or we got to cover this or cover that bill or cover that. Oh, man, that came from Drop Nation. It's a village to make this type of move with 6 children and my beautiful wife, and we're all going, hard, going overtime, hammer time, man, to make this move our best move. And for us to have a pillar here, you know what I mean? Just being in town out here, man, out here in the city. Zion, shout out to Zion. Ziggy Marley came through with his band not too long ago, and I got to meet them, got to meet his bass guitarist Pablo. Shout out to Pablo. You know what Pablo told me? He said, Ziggy's been tuning his music to 432 hertz for over a year now, for about the last year or so. Then I saw this drop. I'm gonna share it later on like a real short video, but Ziggy's talking about 432. I said, man, when Ziggy Marley talk about 432? How he tunes his instruments now to 432. So shout out to Pablo. Pablo was like, yeah, man, his band, their live instruments, everything's tuned to 432. And Ziggy just talking about the feeling that people get, the vibe that people get. The classic reggae wasn't in no perfect 440, so-called perfect, right? Since 1950s, the British Standard Institute, International Standard Institute. We've been talking about this for 10 plus years, man. But just how dope it is, man, that Ziggy's doing that. And of course, Zion already know the flow. Shout out to Zion. We're trying to get Zion up here, man. Zion. And, shout out to Skip Marley, Bam Marley, YG. And I was telling Pablo, I was like, yeah, we need to get Skip up here, Bam. He's like, man, because Ziggy was performing in Salt Lake City. We on the other side of Utah. But he was like, you want to get Bam up here? And the dude picked up the phone and called Bam, like right on the spot. So, man, Marley Fest, you got a home in Utah, you know what I mean? That's how important it is for myself, Chef Candy, the Droplets to be here, to be a pillar, to be a checkpoint, let Nagas know it's all good in town, to get the recipe, you know what I'm saying? Get the formula for the family, for the tribe to be successful in different things. I ain't been in a bunch of Prester John books per se lately, but we spent 10 years digging on that. We got PhDs after PhDs. Now I'm digging on, different family living benefits, infinite cash banking systems, ways to use life insurance as an infinite banking system. I'm trying to put together a blueprint that I can share with the tribe so that we're not talking about death benefits, but we're talking about living benefits, cash value, how the rich do it, man. I've been watching a bunch of Warren Buffett drop, just, seeing how they rock the insurance flow, getting our tribal blueprint together for that. Been, developing a market portfolio, different things, learning about ETFs, right? Learning about different stocks and stuff, because the market crashes, it crashes, but it's cool to have a little nest egg, to ride that wave. If HaWah come back tomorrow, I'm already rich, right? We already balling, we get our land back. If it takes another 15, 20 years, we want to make sure we're in position, you know what I'm saying? So looking at like Roth IRAs, different investment accounts as well. I'm just really just digging on it so that, how to build our credit in this system, in the matrix, right? You come in with bad credit, how do you utilize cards perfectly, right? How do you keep, they got something called all zero except one, AZEO, where let's say you have 5 credit cards, you keep them at zero balance by the closing date, not the due date. The closing date is typically like 20 some days before the due date. You know what I mean? If your closing date, or if your due date is like the 28th of the month, 27th, Your closing date might be around the 2nd. And that's when they take that snapshot, send it to the credit bureaus. I'm just talking about investment drop, finance drop, living benefits, infinite banking systems, as well as land development, right? All about, building wells, drilling our wells, how to function in cities such as Utah, getting your well start card. You can't just start drilling your well legally, even if it is your land, right? It's crazy, but how do we survive in this system and move, move swift and then pop out, when it's time to pop out, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man, utilization, you keep all your credit cards at zero except for one, all zero except one. And that's the one you keep at 1%. So if you have a $1,000 credit limit or a $700 limit or a $500 limit, if it's 500, 1% is $5. 700, 1% is $7. If it's 1,000, keep that joint at $10, 1% before the closing date, then pop off, pay it back down to that 1%. Only on one card. You don't want all the cards having balances. Keep all the rest zero except one. My credit's been shooting up just doing that. So I'm really, developing a formula, doing the risk assessment, digging on it so that you got a family, you're moving. We talked equity. We talked about how we got here, myself, my wife, having a little equity with some property in North Carolina, how we use that and borrowed against that to create a nest egg to improve our land, since we already had land, but you can use that to buy some raw land and improve it and, get those water rights and put the well and all that. So all these things I'm learning, man. Like, we could be book smart, we could know Pressure John, we could know Flat Drop 101, we could talk dragons, we could talk cities of gold. These are my favorite topics, you already know that. But we off balance if we don't know finance. We off balance if we don't know investments. We off balance if we ain't really building up so that in 5 years and 10 years from now, imagine if we were already on this 10 years ago, right? And as a tribe, how much we could have invested to help each other now. So I'm not gonna let another 10 years go by when we don't have the right nest eggs in the right places. Again, the credit come back, the market crash, cool. We already won. But either way, we wanna know, okay, this is how we develop land. This is how you improve the land so you can use it as collateral if you choose to get a construction loan to build a home, or you can just, get it out the mud and build your home in real time and not take out no loan and not owe nobody nothing. But the rich, they got a saying, they say borrow until you die. Borrow until all they do is borrow. They create assets, right? I got a whiteboard, I forgot. Assets, man. How you spell assets? Man, it's embarrassing to have a whiteboard, man. I'm gonna spell it like this. I hope I'm right. They got assets, man. So the stocks could be that, right? They could have stocks, bonds, all that. What else? They could have, right, their land or real estate, right? Or real estate. All right, man. It's time. The whiteboard's cool, but slow me down. They could have real estate, they could have land, all these are assets. Stocks, they can always borrow against their stocks. They can have $1 million or they can have 100,000, whatever, they can borrow against that. They take out, I think it's called an SBLOC or SBLOC, where you can borrow against your stocks. So you need at least 100 racks, 100,000 to do that. But you can start building it up with the right investments. 10 years from now, you're good, right? Land estate, they can borrow against that. That's what we did. North Carolina borrowed against it. They never sell, so we didn't have to sell our property in North Carolina. We just borrowed against it, took out half the equity, and then, right, you take out half the equity, improve the land. Now the land is improved. So let's say now the land is worth 150,000 because you got the well, you got your water rights, senior water rights, right? Because they're trying to take the water by building all these data centers and they snatching water rights. So you want the oldest water rights you can find. Senior water rights, they call them. We got pre-1930 on our land now. That costs about $25K. But, we took that out of our equity to make sure we got water on Joy World. 25,000, cool. Now we improved it with 25K. But it don't just go up in the appraisal by 25K. They now look at it as improved land, not just raw land, because now you got the rights to the water. You dig your well, now you've improved it even more. We're gonna get a 400-foot well. boom, boom. So we really tapped in there. And then now they look at it and like, okay, you got the water and the water rights. You popping off. From there, you can go right there and get a construction loan as long as you got, decent credit. That's why we got to build that up as we go. Because I want everybody to be able to flow with this without having a lot of out of pocket. You can just borrow against your assets, pay that back, borrow against. We put the house on there now. It's, the land's now 150 with the septic and you got utilities. Let's say you pull the utilities down. Let's say you got a solar thing, solar array. You Gucci, man. Because now you're at like 200,000, 250K, whatever. You could now use that as collateral for a $500,000, $600,000 loan, put you a 4, 5, 6, 7 bedroom home on your land. And when that house drop, more value to your land, right? Now it's appraised even higher. Now you got a land estate that has new equity. You created equity out the thin air. You use that equity to pay back what you borrowed against on your real estate, right? And you got a little more, you might want to put that on another piece of land or improve your land more or improve your house more. These are assets, my noggin. Asset here, asset here. The other asset we were just talking about is life insurance. Right, insurance. Can I spell? Whiteboard is interesting. So with the life insurance living benefit joint is when you kind of like front load it. You know what I mean? Instead of paying like some monthly premiums, you might put 2 or 3, thousand down. Let's say you saved up a couple thousand a year, just one time. They're not going to invest that, and if you set it up right, you'll get those dividends reinvested in your life insurance policy, and that will get you more cash value or even so-called death benefits at the end. But we're just setting this up for cash value. You want a plain Jane life insurance term policy? Cool. You want you a universal life? Cool. But, according to the Warren Buffett model, you need a whole life policy because it gives you certain guarantees. Certain guarantees means that the market fluctuates up and down. They're not going to eat away at your cash value like a parasite. The whole life protects you and gives you a guarantee that they can't come in and start chopping you down just because they getting chopped down by the stock market. It gives you an ironclad, fortified asset. And what this asset does is create cash value. And now you can borrow against that, your cash value, or take it out like a bank. That's why we call it the infinite banking system, because you create your own bank through the life insurance. That cash value increase, that's your cash value. 5 years from now, you say, hey, I don't want this policy anymore. Cash me out. They got to write you a check for $16,000, $20,000, whatever the case is. Or you just snatch that cash out whenever you want to, tax-free. Because, it's all built into your joint. Another asset is your Roth IRA, which is one of the best long-term investment type of joints you can do. They cap out at around 7,500. Hold up. So, this is all we're talking about is assets. All we're talking about is how do we exodus? How do we make moves? We could talk exodus, how can we pinpoint, how we build? Nothing has to be an overnight thing. Nothing has to be a catastrophe. Nothing has to be some type of, oh no, what do I do, right? So all these things kind of put us in position for the next few years or the next year or next 10 years, whatever it takes. Whether we're talking land, how do you get that? What assets do you have? You come together with a couple of nagas, how can we put our assets together? I'm saying, okay, I got this property here, or I got, this portfolio here I could rock with, or we just got some scruples, we just got a few thousand together. All right, cool. Put that together, how do you build on that? You choose your path at that point, how do you want to rock? Which type of assets do you want to start developing? Do you want to start developing safe portfolios, where you're just investing in the S&P 500 and just let it ride, or the Vanguard, yada, yada, or NASDAQ, QQQM, and then just have a group investment portfolio that you're rocking with? Do you have a few thousand you put together and get a little half-acre, quarter-acre land that you can start developing right away and improving right away and put something on it? You don't have to build some super home from scratch. They got what they call modular homes or panelized homes that are kind of building factories, and they kind of put them together like Legos, but they, do really good jobs at, and making sure that they even, in some cases, are more safe, more secure, because they are built to be mobilized, and it has to be, really a strong unit. So, just different things, man. We're just talking assets, but really, man, we're just talking Chronology. Let me get all this stuff out the way, man. I don't want to distract y'all with stuff that makes sense. Let's not be distracted with stuff that makes sense. Let's just talk about 333, 1053, and 1778. Of course, that's Anatoly. Ooh, Anatoly. I think it's Anatoly. Anatoly Fomenko, man. And he's the Russian chronographer that, came up with more of a true timeline, how they've pushed back time, at least 3 different major chronological time shifts, 333 years in some cases, 1054, 1778. So he found the mathematical evidence, you know what I'm saying? He found the astronomical evidence that there are phantoms and duplications. You've been rocking this for a minute. I just want you to ponder on what this really means, right? As we make our, quick little dismount here. I'm gonna do some quick drops right from the whiteboard, man, as I move and groove, man, and get my thing, foundational in my life. I'm gonna take this time to still come to y'all and just drop some drop. I don't know what I'm gonna be dropping, but stay tuned. Just know that we are starting an entirely new wave. Drops in Utah, drops located in Utah in the mountains. This is a whole new wave right now. So I appreciate your patience, your donations, your AHOB. Hit the link below to support us. We got a brand new website. It's gonna be a subscription-based website, but it's gonna have access to all the drop, all of our exclusive drop, like everything's gonna be right there, accessed on the website. All your compacts are being built even better than I could even imagine. I got my IT team building out a digital download and putting together more of a just perfectly organized, comprehensive bundle of all the drop on one flash drive. So y'all been waiting over a year for this product. We've been beta testing and trying to get the right, capacity to hold all the drop, and we got that. And now we got the IT Nagas on it, and now I got help. And once we got our flow, our system, we're gonna keep rolling back with the packs. The website's gonna be packed with our products, all our gear, all the drop gear, man. All the 432 radio is gonna be live again. We got a brand new streaming, system, radio system, a brand new app to listen to the live radio for 432. Everything's being rebuilt better than ever, so no one could ever knock it out again. It's super secure, and it took longer, but the security came first. I built this 3 times already, new websites, over 3 times. So this time has to be a charm. This time, man, we're building beyond their normal internet, beyond their normal servers. Like, we're building deep, deep in the web, man, to make sure that we are secure. Our information is secure, our products and everything else. So the water for your AHOB, your patience, your dedication, and your donations, man, we here, you know what I mean? So we here, but where are we? Which timeline are we in? This just means that they could take, let's say, a king or a queen from the 1500s and push them back 300 years into the 1200s. And now you're reading history about the Dark Ages in the 1200s, the 13th century, but it really took place in the 16th century, 1500s. They can take it and push it back 1,000 years. They could take something from the 1200s and now it's in 200 AD. Now you got 3 or 4 different Moseses. Moses the Black in 200 or something, 300. You know what I mean? Like, then they can even push it back almost 18 or even sometimes more than that, 1,800 years. They could take King David from the 12th, 13th century and push it back to the BCs, right? And now you in 600 BC on the biblical timeline, man. So really contemplate how they've hidden history this way. There's to create his story, their story, they hide us, man. And when we talk Prester John, when we talk King David, when we talk Cities of Gold, when we talk Mount Roraima, man, when we talk all this, a lot of it is way more recent. Everything is more recent. And all this means to me is that we popping off for a reason. We're not popping off because it took place 1,000 years ago. We're popping off because this invasion just happened. They found us in the 1400s and they pushed the history back, and they're not telling us it's from the 1400s. They put it back in the BCs. It created a biblical timeline out of it. Everyone took a piece of our history and put it back in their antiquity. Chinese history, it's just more Hans and Khans and Wans, more Wang Kongs, the Mongolian flow. King David and the Ethiopian history. They got their own timeline, right? They got their own, everybody got their own calendars, right? And some of them are truer than others, right? So, I'm just saying, it's like, just know that you just got invaded. You know what I'm saying? We got knocked out like a flash knockout. Like, we didn't even see it coming. We got dope fiend, but it ain't been for no 1,000 years that we ain't had no kingdom, man. HaWah got order. The Creator got order. It's most high over everything. Start right there, and then seek the Creator. Really meditate on the law, the code, so that you're not living in vanity. Don't forget your breath. The breath will give you the capacity to think. Ain't no point in just swinging and you just out of breath, right? You gotta, like everything, the breath gotta come first, man. So we're just getting our breath back. But I want you to really, really understand, man, that this ain't no hobby. You know what I'm saying? When we talk King David, when we talk, the tribe, it ain't no hobby, man. This is just who we are. And the things that we're learning and things that we're growing with, are more recent. You know what I'm saying? They want to make it seem like, they've been rocking out forever. They want to make it seem like, you've been invaded forever. Forget not being invaded. Let's go into the metaverse. Yeah, AI this and AI that. This is my last point, man. All the stuff's more recent than you think. They're the first artificial intelligence, and you're the first world, not the second world. You don't live in the third world. You're the first world, and they're the first artificial, right? And the artificial has always been against the natural ones, the khans, the priesthood. They're going to tell you that they're real and that you're fake. Your stuff is illusion. Antarctica was frozen million years ago, kajillion years ago, but we got maps like the Perry Reese map with Antarctica with no ice on it. The David Rumsey map with the azimuthal equidistant AE projection, flat Earth map projection, so-called. No ice on the ring. No ice in the Arctic, no ice in the Antarctic, man. All this stuff is recent. Research the Little Ice Age. They're going to date that between the 16th century and the 19th century, where there was a dang ice age and glaciation lines and glaciers all throughout so-called North America, and there ain't no North America on these maps. It's called India Superior, which means that there was a superior Naga right here, up in Utah, the Grand Canyon, and the Grand Canyon, man. Focus, man. G.E. Kincaid just found these artifacts in the 1930s in the Grand Canyon, right? There's over 1 million acres blocked off. 1 million acres that you can't even touch in the Grand Canyon. So many secrets, but these are recent secrets. This is recent history. And when you feel yourself popping off, just know that it's way more recent than you think. And when you read something from the BCs, just start correlating that this is a lot of recent, story. Your story is recent. This invasion is recent. And this wake up is now, man. I love y'all. Stay up, suit up, choose up, drop, got a whiteboard. Drop, got a whiteboard. Oh, it's on and popping. I love y'all. It may choke you.